Welcome, fellow detective. It has been quite a long silence on this channel, but we will talk about this and so much more in a second. It simply happened to me that I literally ran out of good ideas to upload another video for you, but lately I came up with a spark of inspiration that ignited the production of what you're seeing right now. Let me pitch this for you. We are going to connect Agatha Christie, an unfortunately pretty controversial poem, a film produced by Netflix, and hermetically sealed rooms for the sake of understanding the Reseacher's first murder. So this might be interesting either if you already solved the riddle, are stuck in between pages, or just heard about it. If you are stuck, I'll give you some hints and clues throughout the video that might help you to progress. If you need further help, feel free to comment down below and I will do my best to support you. For the latter, The Reseacher's First Murder is a literary puzzle created by John Finnemore. It is loosely based on the concept of Cain's Jawbone, the original murder mystery book with the mechanic to rearrange 100 pages in order to solve 6 murder cases. John Finnemore is the official third person to solve Cain's Jawbone, which kinda got him the deal with Unbound. I will remember you. To write a sequel. It isn't actually a sequel, but more of a spiritual follower. For The Reseacher's First Murder, there are 2 versions. The original came in a box that held 100 postcards showing a picture on one and a piece of text on the other side. Both sides were essential to complete the challenge of 10 murders as well as the address of the final kill. They reshaped it for the book version that feels rather dull to me, but if you want a puzzle that is more like Cain's Jawbone, then you might want to have a go with this version. I had my concerns in advance, especially for translated versions. You can see that in another video linked in the info cards. And I don't think it can compete with the original version. Besides all that, let's get into the matter. Today's video is all about which books might help you to solve The Reseacher's First Murder, the murder mystery book that this channel is mainly about for now. And to kick things off, I can say that reading these 2 additional books was a great pleasure, as they were both entertaining and provided so much context to the overall story structure of The Reseacher's First Murder. I want to start with the release of the 3rd movie as part of the Knives Out series on Netflix. Personally, I really like all 3 films because they portray an interesting detective role with usually a great cast of actors and actresses, while creating a cozy crime atmosphere with a thrilling case. Still, they keep up some humor in it, which is fair and fine. So Netflix published Wake Up Dead Man in December 2025 and brought up one specific book during the solving of the case Benoit Blanc was brought up against. They even pushed the cover more than once into viewers' faces. The reason for this is quite simple. Benoit Blanc faces a seemingly impossible murder inside of an hermetically sealed room and first struggles to connect the hints and clues to catch the villain. During his deduction, he mentions the book The Hollow Man, written by John Carr. By the way, that resulted in an adaptation for the description of this old book on Amazon as The Book from Knives Out or similar. This book is often referred to as the perfect description of all possibilities to end someone's life inside an hermetically sealed room. The famous chapter 17 could also be seen as a standalone essay discussing the topic independently from the case taking place in the plot. I highly recommend reading the book, not just because we have a clear similarity to The Reseacher's First Murder with the locked room wherein we find a corpse, but also due to the interesting constellation of the 2 victims and their definitive ends. Remember, the booklet, or else the description inside the book, depending on your version, does tell us that no secret passages were found. The thing with the icing does not work, although stated differently by Dr. Gideon Fell in The Hollow Man, and about the absence of a murder weapon. At least we get the method of death straight from the beginning. The victim in The Reseacher's First Murder was stabbed. Well, for sure some questions remain unclear. What happened to the weapon? How could someone lock the door from the inside without the weapon inside, as well as no trace of a murderer leaving the room? In The Hollow Man, the last of these questions is underlined by the fact that no footprints can be found in the snow around the house, There are also no secret passages, and the suspected murderer entered the room being seen, though he does not leave it the same way through the door on the first floor. Step by step, the detective in this story unravels all possibilities and eliminates options, solving the case in the end based on the sound of church bells. I will neither spoil the solution to the case nor link the book below with an affiliate link. Try to get the book secondhand if you can. Interestingly, Benoit Blanc, played by Daniel Craig, reuses the monologue spoken by Dr. Gideon Fell to deduce his case. So the book is the missing piece to the puzzle on how to eliminate a person in a room that has no escape and no way to invade it from outside, either with a weapon through a tiny hole or with the help of a secret passage behind a bookshelf or something. Funny though that I remember the movie behind this card also involves secret passages that made the plot possible in the first case. Have a watch if you find it, it might be on YouTube. The murderer in the Knives Out case used a method described in the famous chapter 17 of The Hollow Man to Strike. And with that, Benoit Blanc is able to prove someone's guilt. We could take this as a bridge or 7 bridges in an exclave. This is a hint. To proceed to the other book I mentioned to play a huge role in the Reseacher's first murder. I'd go as far as to say if you already knew the story of this book, it would boost your ability to solve the Reseacher's first murder immediately. Let's head back a couple of decades when a book written by Agatha Christie came to light. It is called And Then There Were None. Ironically, this spoils the ending of the story that takes place on an isolated island where 10 people gather due to an invitation by Mr. Owen. Or rather, U.N. Owen. Obviously, there is a pun with that name for their unknown host. Christie's story is based on a controversial poem, not to say racist, that describes the descending amount of people of a certain kind due to events happening. I'll leave you with that because I don't want to dive deeper into this uncomfortable topic, but we will focus on the 10 little soldiers mentioned in this book. If you started by solving the picture sides first, I guess you went first for the maze set. At least I did, and I was quite confused by the solution to it. Please be aware of a spoiler coming towards you in a few seconds. You can skip if you want to avoid it. The 10 little kittens being the solution to the maze and ultimately part of the address for the final murder did not make any sense to me until realizing the connection to this Christie case. By the way, this story does not feature a characteristic sleuth like Sherlock Holmes or, in Christie's case, Hercule Poirot. Most of the deduction is performed by Justice Lawrence Wargrave, in translation known as Brookwood, because of obvious reasons once you get the gist. I really like the setting for Christie's story because these 10 people are basically invited to an island, all with a pretty good reason to actually appear. Soon after landing, they discover that there is an omnipresent threat to all of them. This is displayed with 10 little soldiers placed on a table inside their isolated residence. Additionally, some of the guests on the island find a poem hung onto their walls in the respective rooms, foreshadowing the elimination one by one until there were none. With its origin in the racist poem, adapted to this story and transferred once more for the Reseacher's first murder, we can say the kittens resemble the soldiers and therefore nominating kittens hopefully becomes quite clear in the context. Maze puzzle solved, or at least understood. Right from the beginning we know that none of them will return to mainland, and this is similar to the murder mystery you might face or did face. See any parallels? Before we descend another level and I will spoil some more info, be aware of this spoiler alert. The narrator of the story in the Reseacher's first murder tells a POV for the exact same plotline as And Then There Were None, except for a slight difference. Important for this is that all of the residents in Christie's story did kill someone at some point in their lives, more or less on purpose, and all with a different motive. Same as for our narrator nominating kittens that were lethal tigers in various scenarios. For Christie's villain in the story, a message in a bottle works as a confession before the one responsible for all the deaths finds his own. Because when police are able to join the original 10 residents on the island, they cannot find any life left, and a confusing scenario in which it prompts several seemingly unsolvable incidents. At least I can say that everything is planned, even the last step of the plan in both cases. There is a difference for sure in terms of execution, this is a pun, as well as the weapon chosen. In the end, we need to come back to the first question. How was it possible to someone inside a locked room? Well, you can find the answer to it somewhere in the puzzle wired to the text. Why do these two books help you understand the Reseacher's first murder? Well, first, they also feature a locked room scenario. Second, one story is the scheme used for the overall narration in the Reseacher's first murder. And last but not least, the other story helps guessing the method used to infiltrate the sealed room to eliminate the narrator. Is it worth reading all three books if you count the Reseacher's first murder as a literal book? Sure, go for it. Have fun with these stories. They are fun and I enjoyed working with them. Throughout this video, I left certain hints towards the solution of the puzzle. Hope you found them and ultimately they will help you reach the end and all those dopamine hits I felt during my solve. As for the Knives Out mysteries, I really enjoy them too and hope to create my own at some point. That is for very late New Year's resolutions and this is my first video of 2026. I hope you learned something today, got inspired or had a good time watching my video. Please like this video, comment on your favorite Agatha Christie novel and discuss the Knives Out mysteries. Subscribe to the channel if you want to see more from me. That's it for today's video. Bye!